raw foods will make you gay. Okay, I couldn't even be serious about that for a second. So, hi, I'm Rivers. I use they, them, or he, him pronouns now. I used to go by a different name, and I used to make videos on this channel about my raw vegan journey. And I stopped. For a long time, I stopped because I was afraid. I was afraid to talk about these major changes that came from my life through the process of my raw vegan diet and all of the things that came along with that. So I'm not very big on labels anymore, but in the sake of just understanding where I'm coming from, I want to talk about some of the labels that I've went through in the past couple years since you last saw me. So first, I came out as a lesbian. Me and my ex-husband Ben broke up so that I could be free to explore my gender and sexuality. After that, I came out as trans masculine, and I started transitioning from female to male. From there, I started dating men again, and shortly identified as a gay man, then as a queer person or a pansexual that likes all kinds of people, and eventually ended up dating multiple people at a time because I accepted a polyamorous lifestyle. So two major things happened to me as what I believe in a lot of ways was a direct result of eating a high raw, fruitarian, high carb vegan diet. And the first one is that when you cut down to such a simple place that can take you to, it's like holding a mirror up to your soul. And it shows you the hidden parts of you that you've been hiding. And it shows you who you really are and who you really want to be. And in a lot of ways, I feel like a raw vegan diet can be a tool to help you know what you really need in order to be your happiest, best, healthiest self. And the second thing it does, along with that I think is key, is that it expands your idea of reality. And what I mean by that is it makes you question your fundamental beliefs about how the world works. Like, so for me, coming from a background of dieting for years, and then to have this raw vegan diet that's the opposite of everything I've been conditioned to believe work, to be able to eat 4,000 plus calories a day and lose weight, to be able to feel amazing and healthy and cure all of these chronic health diseases through eating unlimited sugar from fruit every day, and having that be so polar opposite from what I was conditioned and taught my whole life, that makes you really question other things in your life, or it did for me. It was like, okay, well, like, if what society taught me about food was wrong, what about my ideas about God? What about my ideas about love? What about my ideas about myself? What else could I be wrong about that I was conditioned about? So I'm not saying that a raw vegan diet is going to turn you gay and turn you queer and turn you trans or into some crazy pansexual, polysexual transvestite. I'm not saying that at all. But it kind of did for me. So with those two things that I just spoke about combined, it really made me question all of these things that I had pushed down about myself, things that I had told myself weren't okay, things that I hid from myself. My whole life, I was attracted to female-bodied people, and I was also really prone to being attracted and having feelings to multiple people at a time. And I also had a lot of confusing feelings about my body and how I fit in that body. And now, with some time and some patience and some self-love and acceptance, I've learned to understand that my whole life I was already these things. I was already naturally transgendered. I was already non-binary. I was already transmasculine non-binary. I was already queer. I was already poly. I was already all of these things, and that there's nothing wrong with that they're not bad, that God doesn't love me any less because of these things. So I think at the core of what happened, and what happens to a lot of people on a raw vegan fruitarian journey, is that you're giving yourself so much self-love through the food you're eating. So much love. Every single bite is an act of self-love and self-care for yourself, that you start to care more about all of your parts and look at yourself as more of a whole being, and you start to pursue a holistic, healthy self, and you pursue loving all of your parts. And for me, that was really challenging, because there were parts of me that were really excited and were like, yes, I'm finally being seen. Like, you're acknowledging me. I've been waiting for this my whole life, your whole life, Rivers. Like, where have you been? I've been here waiting for you to acknowledge me. But then there were other parts of me, just as valid parts, that were terrified and that were absolutely not ready. There were parts of me that really, truly held on to those limiting beliefs for me that everyone was supposed to be in a heterosexual monogamous lifestyle, that was the only valid option, that's the only thing that my old ideas of God would accept for me. And that was really challenging to let go of. So a lot of the times in my past videos, when I would fall off the wagon of raw foods and I would start eating cooked foods or junk food vegan foods again, the part of the story that I wasn't sharing, that I wasn't ready to share, was that I was terrified of the parts of myself that I was starting to see again. I was seeing my queerness and my transness and my non-binariness. I was seeing my polyamorous tendencies, and I was terrified of them. Or rather, parts of me were really terrified of them. And a lot of the times I would try to numb that down with food, because that's what I knew. So when those things would start to come up, I'd be like, no, I can't do that. I can't be that person. I don't want to be that person, because parts of me really didn't. And to make things more complicated, I really, really loved my husband, and I did not understand, and we both collectively did not understand how we could make that work, how I could explore these different parts of me that were so desperately begging to be explored and still stay married to him. Because for us, that just wasn't in the cards. So we separated, which was really challenging in and of itself, to lose this person that for so many years, we started dating when we were 18, and we broke up when I was 25, or maybe right before I turned 25, a few years ago now. And that whole time period while we were together, because of the faith that we had, we thought we would be together for eternity. But this was it. And to lose that, it felt like losing a huge part of myself. And that was really challenging. So for the past few years, I've been finding my way back to myself again, through exploring these parts of me that I had denied access to for 25 years previously. So, how did I go from being a conservative Mormon housewife to a queer, pansexual, polyamorous, non-binary, transmasculine weirdo? Well, through a lot of things, but in a lot of ways it all started with a raw vegan diet. And I'm not saying that eating this way is going to turn you into anything like me, and it's not supposed to. It was just part of my journey that I now feel ready and excited to share with you. So if you want to know your true self, and if you want to learn how to accept and deal with that true self, then I want to be here for you for that. I really believe with all my soul that a raw vegan diet is one of the most amazing tools you can use to really show yourself self-love and self-acceptance and knowledge, and to really get into all of those deep, dark little corners of your soul that you like to ignore and push down and say are invalid and try to pretend aren't there. If you want to truly know yourself and truly expand your vision of what the world can be and what good is and what love is, and let that into your heart, then a raw vegan diet can help you do that. And I want to share that with you. And I also want to make future videos where I share tools that I've learned along the way of how to process and learn and deal with those life-shattering, life-changing realizations that you will have about yourself. And I'm not saying that those realizations are going to be the same as mine. They're probably not. But I think we all have them. We all have those parts of ourselves that we don't accept, that we don't love, that we don't take care of, that we don't acknowledge. And all of those parts are valid and need love and acceptance to be integrated into your whole being. And it can be really hard. I know I was not prepared for it. I was really prepared to eat raw food and to feel healthy and to have lots of energy and to cure my diseases. I was all about that. But no one was really talking about the other side of it, this huge spiritual side of it, this internal side, the shift that happens for everyone that I know that eats a raw diet. And not that many people were talking about that because it's scary and it's personal and it's hard. But I want to talk about those things because I needed to hear about those things. I need to hear about how to cope with that. What do you do when your entire worldview shifts drastically, overnight sometimes? What do you do when your view of God, your concept of self, drastically changes like that? It is hard and it is challenging, and it doesn't have to be. I think we make things way harder than they need to be. I know I do. And so I hope that this video can help you, can help inspire you to love yourself a little bit more today, to accept yourself a little bit more, because you are valid. All the parts of you are valid and important and lovable, I promise. Every single part, every little dark corner of you is a wonderful, magnificent part of you. And all of your parts, even the ones you're the most scared of, they all come from the universe. They all come from God. And that energy is in all of us, and it's beautiful and wonderful. Sending you all my love and light.